Hello, my name is Levin, and I'm making a free split-screen multiplayer game for Steam. The game is called Couch Combat, and I'm preparing for release, but there's still quite a lot left to do, so I need to get to work. While the game does still need a bit more content, the main issue right now is just polish. There are tons of small bugs and inconveniences that just drag down the overall experience, but it can be hard to locate all these issues by myself, so I'm going to begin something that I like to call the Couch Combat World Tour. Basically, I'm going to be testing the game as often as I can, with as many people as I can, and during these tests I'm going to try to record every issue, big and small, and every bug. And then I'll try to fix every single issue on this list. This video is sponsored by Unity. The last days of the Unity Black Friday sale for 2021 are happening now, and the sale is ending on December 4th, but there are still over 500 assets at 50% off or more, and plenty that are going on lightning sales. A really cool asset that is having a lightning sale today is Polygon City. It's a huge pack of really well-made game-ready assets that are incredibly helpful if you don't have a 3D modeler on your team. Use the links in the description to help support the channel and also save some money. Stop 1 for the Couch Combat World Tour was at a friend's house, where we played 3 players because I didn't have a USB hub, so we didn't have enough ports for 4 player, and I got some great feedback. So with all that detailed feedback, I made a long list of all the issues I found, and then I started to fix them. Polish is basically just checking off a long list of deceptively small tasks, but there were also several bigger tasks I could not tackle right away, like outlining the players and pickups to increase visibility, and fixing the outrun area's disappointing jump pads. Since the knockback for melee combat currently sends you into the stratosphere, I decided it was a good idea to just rework how knockback in general works. I used to just directly apply knockback to the rigid body with forces, which works for things like explosions, but not really for punching, so I made a new script that knockback sends the forces to, and that script applies said forces every fixed update while also dampening them towards 0. And while these forces are being applied, it also removes the friction from the player mover, which allows you to slide across the ground. I set up the system to work with punching, and finally I have good punching knockback. But the World Tour Stop 2 is coming up, so I exported the game and got it ready. This was at a different friend's house, although some of the same people that were there at the first test were here too, and I continued to get great feedback.
Where are all the couches?
And so I made a new list. There were way less issues to fix this time, but most of them were centered around one thing: the main menu. The main menu can be kinda clunky, and the drop-in menu especially needs some work. Plus, the game modes menu is completely unnecessary, as arcade is still the only game mode. I didn't get around to fixing the menu in this devlog, but that will be one of my main objectives next devlog. I made some more small adjustments to the game and added an outline shader to the gun pickups and player models. It makes them easier to see on all stages, but the shader is absolutely necessary on the outrun stages thanks to their dark colors, which make the darker player colors and guns very hard to see. But before I get to any of that, I just want to talk about how I plan on making money off the game. So I'm releasing the game for free on Steam, be sure to wishlist by the way, but how do I plan to make any money off of it since it's free? Well, first off, money is not my main objective with this game. The primary purpose of making it was for me to learn how to properly make games and to actually release a long-term project. But the secondary objective was to get as many people to play it as possible. If I release it for free on Steam, then there's a decent chance that Steam will push the game to people and I'll be able to get lots of people playing the game, which is what I really want. But to be upfront, I do plan on trying to make money off this game by using a Patreon, and that's why I'm announcing this Patreon right now. I feel like Patreons are a good model for game developers like me who make lots of smaller projects. I don't really want to restrict who can play my games that much, so instead having people who really like my games and possibly want some extra perks support me would be nice. If you support the Patreon, I plan on providing 4 main things. The main one, of course, is access to the most recent Couch Combat betas. The ones that are on itch.io right now have not been updated in a long time for several reasons, and if you join the Patreon, then I will give you access to a version that I finished just a day before releasing this video. The game isn't in a complete state, obviously it is a beta, but if you support, I'll give you access to a beta, and then you can also give me feedback and help shape the future of the game. The second benefit is that you get access to all the source code for every single game jam that I've ever done that I still have the project files for. This includes stuff like my Attack on Titan movement system and my Unity Minecraft engine. You are free to use code from these in your projects, though I would like if you credited me. The third benefit is that I plan on having exclusive events on the Patreon, with the first one being a game jam where Patreon members directly control the themes, restrictions, and twists, which I'm excited to do. Finally, you can also get a Discord role and access to exclusive channels on my server, which is cool I guess. But that's it for the Patreon. Support it if you want, but just watching this video is already pretty helpful. Now that all the main issues within the actual game were resolved, I decided it was time to finish up all the content I want for release. So far, most of the weapons in the game have been somewhat tame. The only really unique one is the grenade launcher, and the grenade launcher is by far my favorite weapon, so I'm going to try to make another interesting one. The idea is basically a super shotgun, but it has hard to control knockback on both the player shooting it and the one being shot. But you can also shotgun jump and use it for movement, although the movement is mostly horizontal. The reason I decided to make the movement mostly horizontal instead of vertical is because the grenade launcher takes health in order to provide extra movement, while a shotgun just takes ammo, so it should be a little more restricted to make the grenade launcher worth it. Anyways, I modeled, rigged, and animated a double-barreled shotgun for the game, and I also decided on a name for it, Big Bertha. I used the new knockback script that I wrote for punching to add knockback to the player whenever you fire the gun, and also to the player who is being hit by it. Knockback is fairly weak whenever you are shooting at a player or in the air, but if you hit a wall or the ground, then it will propel you further depending on how close to the thing you hit was from you. This makes a unique movement situation for the gun, where you can zoom up close and take out other players in one shot if you're good enough. A lot of sounds in the game currently need reworking, which I haven't gotten to, but I also made some shooting sounds for Big Bertha by combining various sounds from the gun sounds pack I have. And a lot of development time for this devlog was spent on stages, and I completed the western area. Now there are 24 stages in the game, 8 for each area, and I think that's plenty for a free game to launch with. From now on for stages, I'm going to be mostly focusing on polishing these stages and maybe redoing a few of the worst ones. And I also implemented several new settings because they are important for accessibility. The first one was graphic settings, which I finally got working. The game actually looks pretty good even on low, because the main thing impacted is just the shadow quality. I might have to make a lower setting though, because some people might even need post-processing turned off for it to run well. Other than that, I added a FOV slider, more audio sliders, aim assist options, and colorblind modes with the help of an open source GitHub repository. But it was time for the first leg of the Couch Combat World Tour to come to an end, so I had one final 2-player play session. The gameplay for the game itself is pretty much how I want it now. Maybe some stages and guns can use some polish, but overall everything works pretty well. The main issue is just the main menu, which is something I really need to fix, so it'll be my first priority next devlog. Thanks for watching. Be sure to wishlist the game and also support my Patreon if you want. And this is also the part of the video where I will put my list of Patreons if I get any, so I guess you can make a cameo if you want to in future videos.